Ladies and gentlebirds, welcome back to another episode of the... I've just kicked a chair, that's gone well. The Outside Insider back on your screens. It's good to have this regularly now, right? It's good to be back discussing Eagles football. I know it's been a long time since we've been a regular on the YouTube space, but I tell you what, I hit Saturday night, okay, and instead of wanting to go out and, boogie around the dance floor and sing about dancing on my own, I was like, I want to stream. I was like, I've got to stream till Monday. I miss it already. I had that itch. I had that dog in me. I wanted to come back. There was a lot to talk about. And now, after another week of NFL action, there is even more to discuss. The Eagles are 2-0. We know that. We broke that down on Friday, but the rest of the NFL continues to move on. The Eagles have got injury stuff to deal with. I mean, Nick Sirianni's press conference today didn't exactly inspire a ton of confidence. I can't lie. And I don't know. There's a lot to talk about, but the main thing I want to discuss today is that I have been burying through the trenches of free agents, of trade targets, of whoever, and I found one player, the player that the Eagles should target. He's not a trade target. I wish I'd made this title like an hour ago and not 8 hours ago, because it'd be much better and much more accurate. But I found one player that I think would be a perfect fit for this Eagles team, given the current injury situation. If they're going to target anyone, it has to be this guy. I think they have to go out and get some help, and we'll discuss why a little bit shortly into the show. Matt says, Liam is not very regularly. No, I am. Are you ready for this? I've just moved. I've moved the table, so there's a bit of a lot less kitchen. There we are. I'm there. See, same studio. I've just moved my table. I moved it forward because we had a meal on it, like a proper meal. I'm lazy when I'm on my own. I eat meals on the sofa. I don't know about you guys. I don't know where you like your meals. I sit and watch YouTube. I'm a nightmare. I'm a bozo for that stuff. So when the girlfriend's over, it's a nice meal at the table. So the table got moved forward. So we're rolling with this. But look, if you want the old chaotic kitchen back, we can certainly get it. What's up, Ron? What's up, Matt? How are you doing this evening, gents? As always, we will also be doing our Eagles giveaway, where if you do want a piece of Eagles memorabilia, all you have to do, leave a like on the video. And if this video gets more likes than the number of points the Eagles scored last week, which I can't remember, was it 28? Was it 28? I can't remember. I think it was 28. I'll have to double check. It might have been 30. I'll double check in a minute. But however many they score, we pass that, we'll give a random person an item of Eagles memorabilia. I'll double check now. I don't want to be, having VA. We don't need 34. Whoa, that's a big target. That's a big target. I believe in you all there. Let's pump those numbers up. Let's see if we can get to 35 likes. If we do, we'll get ourselves a nice giveaway. Common table dub. It is lit. It is a common table dub. We all love the table. What's up, Jarrell? Yeah, the offense isn't as terrible as we thought. There are still concerns, though. All right, let's start with DeAndre Swift then. We sung his praises all of last week. So all of Friday's show was pretty much a DeAndre Swift Appreciation Society gathering, if you will. And Nick Sirianni came out today basically saying that he's going to ride the hot hand and not give DeAndre Swift like the exclusive running back one rights, which I get it, I understand. But at the same time, you've just had a guy rush for 175 yards. I don't think even Kenny Gainwell would be that mad, would be that pissed if Nick went to him, look, man, you're great, but not this week, yeah? Try and add it back. Like, we're going to give DeAndre the rock because he's a hot hand. He's your starting running back now, okay? I think it's pretty clear DeAndre Swift is going to be your starting running back. So for Sirianni to come in, I understand wanting to protect the cohesiveness of the locker room, but to come in and not give DeAndre Swift the starting crown, if you will, just feels a little bit of a... I don't know. Look, the guy was near enough benched week 1, okay? Comes out and responds with a ridiculous week 2 performance of 175 yards. I don't know. Look, I would give DeAndre Swift the starting role, and I wouldn't even hesitate. The guy's just earned it. He's just ripped up the Vikings for fun to the tune of 175 yards. You can't not give him that. Like, everyone knows it. I don't know. It's just one of those dodgy things, isn't it? Where, if you're at a job and, 2 employees sneak off together and they come back all giggly, something's gone on. Everyone can see it. We all know. No one has to say it. They're not going to ever say yes, have a little cheeky fling in the back with a bit of, it's fine. But we all know it. And we all know DeAndre should be running back 1, even if Sirianni's not going to say it. But he should say it. Come on, Nick. I believe you. Just go on. Back him. Guess who forgot? Oh, that is an L. I don't think I had anyone that bad. In fact, I didn't have a whiff in fantasy. I did get slapped. Let me find out who. I think I had Desmond Ridder on the bench. Let me find out who I had in mine. In my team, which is aptly named 2 Girlies, 1 Cup. I'm very proud of that. Yeah, oh no, I'll tell you what I had on the bench. Packer Nakua, the Rams receiver that's blown about. Yeah, he was on the bench. He did nothing. So now I started instead. Breece Hall, there you are, 0.9 points. So there you are. Zach saying, what's up, man? Nice to see you in the chat today. Break in case of emergency. Who's banging who? It can be whoever. But probably DeAndre and Nick, I'd say. Bezzy mates. I'm glad I'm not the only one. K1. I'm glad I'm not alone. Thank you for the like on Facebook, whoever that was. I can't see, but I'm proud of you. These last 2 games, I find it weird we haven't really been running with a committee. Yeah, but even that is strange, though, isn't it, in itself? Because you've had 2 weeks with... Obviously, I know Gainwell was out. Does it not then make you question, like, what would have happened if Gainwell hadn't been out? If Gainwell had been perfectly healthy, would the Eagles have won that game? And that is no slight to the defense and the 4 turnovers and the rest of it, but we all know the heart and soul of that game was DeAndre Swift running off like, you know, a 7-minute drive, a 16-play drive where they ran 13 of 14 plays. Would that have happened with Gainwell there? Would we be talking about an Eagles victory? Like, that's why you have to go with Swift. There is no committee effort. Boston Scott's come in and ran about for a bit. Like, you know, you drop your kid off at the daycare to paint some pictures with potatoes. He's done great. That's fantastic. But the meat and potatoes are with DeAndre Swift. I think everyone can see that. And I wouldn't say it's annoying. Look, I understand that. I don't think I've seen a committee backfield where there is, no commitment. They really take commit out of committee, don't they? That's what they've done. They're not. They refuse. Like, what more would DeAndre Swift have to do to earn there? Even if it's a starting role in the committee where he gets 10 carries a game, he's realistically, as K1 says, he ain't getting 28 carries again. Fair enough, but he might get 17. He might get 13, and he might be the starting back, and that can go a long way. I think in a running back's head, it just can. What's up, Patrick? We've got a Facebook comment. It's got an F next to it. F for follow Patrick, I say. Nice to see you, Pat. Thank you for tuning in. Quite a fluid situation after all. I'll tell you what isn't. All right, let's get to the good stuff. We've had our little 10-minute chit-chat about DeAndre and my nitpicking with Sirianni. I have been in the lab finding the player, the prototype for Howie Roseman to sign, okay? I've found him. Zach knows I've spilled it in the chat already, in the Eagles chat for PSN, but there is a reason, there's a method behind the madness, but Avonte Maddox is out for the year. Fine, okay? It sucks. The guys struggle with injuries. I mean, we can talk a little bit about Maddox, I guess, as the show goes on. Great player. I still genuinely believe the Eagles didn't intend on bringing him back in the first place. And they drafted Zach McPherson, and then he goes out and puts in a career year like no other. So they kind of have to pay him when they could get him at a slight discount. So then that puts a ceiling over McPherson's head. You keep Maddox in, who still battles those little niggling injuries. You can't quite shake it off. He isn't quite T-Swizz. And you now in a situation where McPherson's down, Maddox is down. Sirianni broaches the press conference today like, free agent, SME agent, we like our in-house options, we like the versatility of our guys. And that, again, is great. But, excuse me, no matter, I've just eaten my dinner. It's been a bit of a rush. No matter where you move those players, all you're doing is moving the weakness, right? The Eagles were unlucky last week that James Bradbury had concussion. Sucks. He should be back for Monday night. But he's been cross-training at the slot this past summer. If you move James Bradbury inside, you are putting outside someone like Josh Jobs, someone like, I wouldn't mind Keely Ringo, but no matter who it is, it's someone with 1 or 2 years experience tops, absolute tops, coming up against quite the band of merry men. If you don't believe me, here they are. These are just some of the Z receivers, if you will, that the Eagles will be facing during the remainder of the schedule. I know that it's not the most intimidating list in the world, but a guy like Chris Godwin, even Alan Lazard, Jalen Waddle, Juwan Jennings. Like, we can go on and on. I mean, every team has got a fairly decent Z receiver to keep an eye on. So if you're going to move James Bradbury, an all-pro corner, let's take Jalen Waddle, for example. I mean, he's the most prominent receiver here, isn't he? Like, he's probably the most lethal of all of them. If you are going to take Jalen Waddle and leave him with a rookie because you'd rather have James Bradbury in the slot, your all-pro corner, you are leaving a rookie outside where you're going to have to bracket a safety. You're going to have to bring down Reed Blankenship or someone. And if you do that, Tyreek Hill's over there, and it's not pretty, all right? We already learned that Darius Slay had a phenomenal game last year against JJ. He didn't do it last week. It was a good game. It wasn't perfect. I still think, realistically, someone like Tyreek Hill is going to run rings around just about anyone he faces. So it's fine if you want to put Bradbury in the slot, but you damn sure better have someone outside. I think the best bet would be to look for a slot corner. The downside is there aren't many available. There aren't many corners at all available. Casey Hayward and Kyle Fuller are probably two of the more popular options. Chris Harris is old. Jimmy Moreland is bad. There just isn't a lot of optimistic options out there outside of one man who I've not mentioned on that list. That man goes by the name Bryce Callahan. Why is he the guy? Why should the Eagles target Bryce Callahan as a free agent? Let's find out, shall we? First and foremost, forget anything else you see on your screen apart from that second paragraph. He has played under Vic Fangio for 6 years. He did it for 2 years in Denver. He was there for 4 years as a Chicago Bear. Okay, that's 6 years. The Eagles are besotted with Vic Fangio. Christ knows why, but they are. They love him. They have got in Sean Desai, who coached under Vic Fangio, who was molded by Vic Fangio. He preaches what Vic Fangio teaches. This is a player that was built in those fires. He was forged in the fires of Fangio doom, and he is now going to be potentially a great fit for this Eagles defense. Now, his last season was with the Los Angeles Chargers, was very much a reason why Staley's defense was even able to be competent to begin with. Had 47 tackles, 3 picks, 6 passes defense, and a bang average grade of 64.2. But I will take a bang average grade of 64.2 over dropping a rookie who maybe isn't ready for that spot into the deep end. And it's nothing against Josh Jobe, it's nothing against Keely Ringo, it's nothing against Eli Ricks, but like, do I want them against those corners? Not really. I would much rather keep James Bradbury outside and put this guy in the slot. Like, I'm not saying Bryce Callahan would be signed and immediately become an Avonte Maddox level player. He's not going to be a dominant slot corner, but he is someone that is going to understand the very basic fundamentals of this defense, that has thrived in it for, let's be honest here, the majority of his entire career, and at one point was one of the better slot corners in the NFL. I don't see how he isn't having his phone harassed by Howie Roseman at this point. That's the guy I'm going with. Let's see who we've got. Let's see if anyone can maybe potentially do me some justice there. What do you guys think about a potential Bryce Callahan addition? Let's go. Willie Walker says, cheers, Liam. Do you think Penny gets more touches Monday night with Scott and Gainwell being down? It's a no-brainer, right? I'll get to that in a minute, Willie. I will get there. I want to finish on Callahan first. We'll come back. Travis, I always love your accent. I love yours too. I don't know what your accent is, but I'm sure I love it too. I appreciate you stopping by and hanging out. Greg says, I think we do 2 trades, 1 on each side of the ball. Defensive back and running back. Wow. Do you mean, are we giving up a running back, or are we? I feel like we're giving up, surely. Like, we'd have to be giving up Penny. I mean, it'll be the most Howie thing ever to trade DeAndre Swift, wouldn't it? Let's be honest. It just would. Like, as one good game, bang, gone. Thunder and lightning, bruv. You can't bring in a dude who hasn't even practiced with the club. I mean, you can. Like, you just can't expect miracles overnight. Like, it would take maybe a month or so. But realistically, when does the Eagles' schedule get tough? Like, December, January. You've got 2 months to figure it out. And this is a player that, again, if you're going to bring in Casey Hayward or Chris Harris, who I saw floated around on, social media earlier today, they haven't had games with the club. They're a lot less familiar with the teachings of Sean Desai. It's going to be a bit more of like a teething process there. Like, if there is any player that can come in and have the quickest impact, it would be Bryce Callahan. And I think that's where like my head is at with this. Is that if you're gonna, look, I'm all for letting the young guys eat. I've been preaching young cornerbacks for years. I mean, I was a Rasul Douglas truther. I mean, he killed me yesterday when I bet on the Packers. I'll give him that. Sidney Jones, I was a fan. I mean, Akilo Weatherspoon, I was a big guy. Like, I love young cornerbacks. I love evaluating young corners. I like seeing them thrive at the NFL level. Am I all in on potentially having two of them at any point? If Slay goes down, if Bradbury goes down, there is a real chance you see Ringo, Job, Goodrich start. Is that good enough today? 2-3 years' time, that might be a starting level secondary. Is that going to handle Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle? Is that going to handle Chris Godwin, Mike Evans? Is that going to handle Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson? Like, is it? Are those guys good enough? And this isn't a team, again, I said it about Quez Watkins last year, that unfortunately this Eagles team has got so good so quick that a lot of those like mediocre players are going to get left behind because the aspiration is Super Bowl. And it's not saying those guys aren't Super Bowl players, but if you're in a pinch where you lose not one, but two corners at the exact same position, two nickel corners, right? You are now in a spot where that will be exploited. It is going to be taken advantage of. Jordan Addison was the easiest fantasy play of all time if you play DFS when the Eagles played the Vikings. So was TJ Hawkinson for the same reason. Offenses will milk 3 yards if they can get it. If the Eagles don't have a viable solution to nickel or CB2, however they want to broach it, it's going to get eaten up. So if you want to make a move, it has to be soon. Because like K1 says, you can't bring in a guy that hasn't played with the team. Fine, he's not going to start this week. If they bring him in tomorrow, he's not starting on Monday night, put it that way. However, in a month's time, in 2 months' time, when you've got the Chiefs, the Jets, I say the Jets, I mean receiver-wise, like forget Zach Wilson, but the Bills, the Cowboys at Jerry World, the Giants showed signs of life last night. Like, I don't think it was purely on Daniel Jones. It was much more on Jonathan Gannon being, like, incompetent, but you get my point. There are a lot of capable receivers remaining on this schedule. If you need a reminder, these aren't all of them. Guys move around formations, but Chris Godwin this Monday, Dotson is already causing problems with Washington. Alan Lazard has been a viable receiver. Brandon Cooks isn't great, but I've got his jersey and a card, and that's quite cool, so he's on the list. Gabe Davis, very underrated. Jalen Waddle is basically Devontae Smith, like mini. You can debate all you want between Waddle and Smith. They're two very similar receivers. I'd take Smithy over Waddle, but I mean, that's like saying, you know, I'll take a Jack Daniels over a Johnny Walker. Both phenomenal brands. And Jawan Jennings, like, I just think that there is an incentive to bring in a player of Callahan's caliber. I'll write an article on it tomorrow. I'll try and formulate my words a bit better. But I just do think if there is a player, that is a dead free agent market. It is a dead free agent market. The Eagles aren't going to trade for a corner because mid-season trades just rarely end well. They just don't. Like, you look back at some of the biggest ones in NFL history. Very seldom do you have mid-season trades actually pan out. So you're left with Kyle. I remember wanting Kyle Fuller like 4 years ago. Didn't happen. Probably for the best. Casey Hayward, I wanted a couple of years ago. Didn't happen. Jimmy Moreland, I wanted. All of these guys 5 years ago would have been dream signings. And now it's just like bottom of the barrel. But Bryce Callahan, who isn't with a team, who has played significant portions of his career under Vic Fangio, is on the market, is available, is a veteran, can lead what is a very, very young cornerback room, potentially if Slay or Bradbury goes down as well. And he was good last year with the Chargers. He wasn't bad. We're not talking about a corner that was like battered and bruised. Like, if you want to talk about someone like Kyle Fuller, atrocious last time we saw him on a football field. Callahan isn't that guy. Callahan's solid. I'm amazed he's still out there. I was actually stunned his name was on that free agency list. So, I don't know. I'm intrigued. We'll get to some of your comments now. Let's see what we got. I thought Sidney Jones was a still. Yeah, so did I. So did I. I was sold. I thought, the Achilles, I thought he was going to bounce back. It just never quite panned out. I don't think it's all his fault. Having said that, he hasn't really been able to do much of anything elsewhere. Unlike Rasul Douglas, I was higher on Douglas than Jones. Very vocally. I mean, there are endless videos of me dick riding Rasul Douglas essentially, trying to say, no, it wasn't his fault. It was the safety's fault. It was Schwartz, whatever. I love Rasul Douglas. He's made more of himself in the NFL, I think, than Jones has, which kind of sucks because Jones was the first round corner potential guy that slipped. I don't know. It's interesting. Greg says, trade Penny, sign Fournette, need a short yardage back. It's hard to say because we haven't really seen much of Penny at all, really, since preseason. So we need to see him in action. I'd be intrigued to see how it looks. Maybe give it a few more weeks, see if Penny can evolve into that back. I don't know if Leonard Fournette... Again, that's another player that is still out there, but I think that's the whole running back lifespan now, isn't it? As soon as they're on the shelf, it can get a little bit tough to get them back off again, Same with older corners, though. As soon as that speed goes, as soon as you lose a step, I mean, good luck keeping up with the likes of Tyreek Hill, Yeah, and that's exactly it, K1. In a month's time, we could have even more problematic injuries, which is why I think you have to bite the bullet and jump on someone like Bryce Callahan. Because, again, you've already lost 2 corners. McPherson's played outside. He would have been great. Maddox can play safety. Would have been all right if you get an injury at the other spot. Both of those guys down. Bradbury can play inside. He did it in preseason. He did it in camp. They're going to probably push James Bradbury inside, which means you're going to need a CB2 unless you want to really risk throwing Keely Ringo to the rules. I love Keely Ringo. I'm very high on Keely Ringo. He's kind of what, I don't know, a less fluid Rasul Douglas would be. He's going to take time. He's not going to be an overnight sensation. He might be. Also, Cravon LeBlanc exists. And he does follow me on Twitter. And so does his mother. Maybe I'll reach out. I'll drop some... No, I won't drop... He might be watching this. I'll be nice. But look, I love Cravon. I love Captain Cravon. I love the fact that his mum got engrossed in Captain Cravon with his little Christmas hat on the pirate ship images back in the day. Maybe we run it back with Strap. I mean, that was the best few months imaginable watching that guy ball out. Maybe that's the solution. Realistically, you've got to have help from linebackers and safeties and maybe even an extra corner anyway. You don't need an elite corner, but of all the guys that are out there, not named Cravon LeBlanc, Bryce Callahan is the best option, I would say. Cooks and Waddle could do damage if we don't get options. I completely agree with that. Yeah, Cooks is good. He's been underrated since he was in New Orleans back in the day. I really think he just doesn't get his flowers. CeeDee Lamb plays all over the field, scary hours. Yeah, but again, even if you look at Dallas, you take out Michael Gallup, they've still got receivers that can hurt you. Douglas, I've thought the same, Isaac. I really have thought the same. The difference is with Rasul Douglas is that he was a dinner cornerback and not a breakfast. He was so rangy. He's like me. That's why I love him. These long arms look meaty, long tree branch arms that he could just swap balls away with. It's what he did during his collegiate days. It's what he should have done in Philadelphia. It's what he started to do in Green Bay. Jalen Mills just did my head in. I was not a Jalen Mills fan at all. Everyone loved him. If we're gonna go down that path, one of my biggest hot takes, I couldn't stand him. He did my head in. He was, as soon as there was that little squabble with Fletcher Cox trying to talk him down because after giving up a 30-yard pass, he decided to start finger wagging. And we're down by 13 points or something, and Fletch just shoves him in the chest. I was like, the finger wagging, the little, it's called flexing apparently. It looks like he's doing a chicken thing with the pads because he doesn't have the bulk to. I couldn't. I don't know. I just couldn't. I give it Rasul Douglas. Put Rasul out there. Put Sydney out there. Put Josiah Scott. Just not Jalen Mills, who is gonna just drop himself in hot water over and over and over again. He was better at safety than he was at corner. And don't get me wrong, it's fantastic that Mills made a career for himself. To be a 7th round pick as a corner in Philadelphia of all places where corner turnover is ridiculous. and actually make a career, still be in the NFL today. Like, he's still with the Pats. He's still a safety over there. It's really, really rare for 7th-round picks to last in the league as long as Mills has, let alone win a Super Bowl. So, like, fair enough to him. You've got to give him his respect for that. But for crying out loud, yeah, as K1 said, man, like, I couldn't handle it's the double moves. It's just the tackling misses. Like, it'd be like a missile, just miss. Oh, talking of that, though, let's throw it back even further. Andrew Sendejo. If you want to talk bad tackling, it doesn't get much worse than that era. My word. God, we've dealt with a lot, haven't we? We've really dealt with, we've come a long way. Andrew Sendejo, for all the OGs that remember that one on YouTube. But, it was just like playing a video game. Somebody accidentally hits the X button and just bang, like, ball carriers over there. Sendejo's flying towards the 10-yard line. Ooh. Aguilar will always be my 13. Aww. Yeah, I do have a lot of time for Aguilar. I think he sorted himself out mentally. I remember Jordan Matthews. Like, I spoke with him after the rookie year, and I spoke to him after the rookie year, and Matthews was saying, like, it's a lot easier to help him when he actually, like, opened up, and Matthews had to kind of take on, like, a leadership role in that roster. Like, Jordan Matthews is another one. Like, love that guy. My first ever Eagles interview was Jordan Matthews. Like, I hold him in a very high regard just for the type of person that he is. Like, I tweeted him as a 19-year-old kid, and I was like, I've just made a blog. I'd love to interview you sometime. And he not only responded, but he followed me. He DM'd me. We set it up. He gave me his phone number. We stayed in contact, like, fairly frequently afterwards. He gave me another interview down the line when I released minus equals plus for any of the real PSN OGs. You'll have a copy of that in your folders somewhere, like the magazine we produced. And then, yeah, like, a few years later, the Eagles came to London. He gave an interview about, like, remembering me, which was like, I love him. Nicest guy, solid receiver. Like, it sucked that he just couldn't hang on, like, to the ball, but, like, around the league, you know, like, I mean, I thought San Francisco might have breathed more life in for him. Didn't quite pan out. But as far as guys in the NFL that are, like, humble and just down to earth, and, like, you couldn't ask them. I've spoken to some real, like, assholes, and not to say that people just are, like, because they earn so much money and they're so egotistical because they have to be, because they're in the top 1% of the 1% of the 1%. Like, if you want to be the best corner in the game, you've got to talk like him. Like, Asante Samuel, I did an interview with him, and it was like the whole time was like I was having to stroke his ego to get any response. I couldn't ask him a question. It would be, I have to tell him how good he was for him to go, yeah, I was. And, like, there are just guys like that. I'll try to. Asante's a great interview. Like, he's a great guy, obviously an all-time corner. But that's my point. Like, there's no disrespect to them, but, like, yeah, some guys just do have that, like, alpha mentality. They have to do it. So to see someone like Jordan Matthews, who was so opposite to that, and just, like, you could chat to him like a friend. That you just have a chat. It was like a 40-minute phone call. You're just talking about, like, life, and it's not just football and stats. And this game was good. How did that feel? Like, it's about family and children and growing up. Like, it was amazing. It was a great experience. And, like, again, you speak to some people in this league. I'll tell you another guy who's an outstanding human. Great to see him get his flowers in the NFL. Jeremy Reeves for Washington. Interviewed him before he got drafted. And just, again, incredible guy, incredible story to go where he did, to fight through, to actually stick onto Washington and make some real plays for them. Like, yeah, that's another one. He's got a special little soft spot in my heart. Love that guy to bits, man. All the time in the world for him. We had some of your guys' comments. I know we're approaching the half-an-hour break, and I'm, starting to, that scene in SpongeBob where he was all dry because he, like, got no water. I feel like that. So we'll have a little break in a sec. Sendejo sent Maddox to the IR that season. Yeah. We can't call Avonte Maddox injury prone when it's Andrew Sendejo that literally nuked him. Like, it's not really Maddox's fault, that was it. Let's be honest. Why not give Sidney Brown a shot? I thought designers want a red shirt, guys. Very, very valid point, Martian. I mean, I'm not sure if Sidney Brown would be good as a slot corner. He'd be better as a box safety. I know they're kind of similar in roles. I'm not sure if I trust Brown like at the line of scrimmage on a tight end or on a slot receiver just yet. I kind of want him like hanging back, playing run defense. Get him in run fits. Get him in run fits all day. I think you're going to have a hell of a time. I think as soon as you put him on man, just now, like, baby him in. Like, he's got so much upside, so much aggression that, you see, this. I don't want to make the comparison to Sandejo, but because we've been talking about it, you go back to week 1, a special teams hit that he had that got so much attention and love, an inch left, and it would have been the most like humiliating, tweeted about play by Eagles fans forever. And that's the risk you run when you're an aggressive safety. And Sidney Brown isn't the most complete tackler. He is very army, and he is very like aggressive with his angles. So there isn't like a safe conservative tackling approach, which is going to come in time. But as of right now, if you want him storming down to the line of scrimmage to break up a screen pass and he misses, and then it becomes a 30, 40-yard gain, that is a risky run. However, he's also the type of guy that can get into a tight end like very few safeties can and punch a ball loose. So there's a risk-reward element there with Sidney Brown. It depends how you deploy him. I'm all for it. I'd love him in there. It seems Sirianni's confident with the guys. I don't think we heard from Desai today. I think maybe we will tomorrow. It'll be interesting. It will be interesting. I'd be all for it. I love Brown and Ringo. I think both could play that star role that I keep alluding to. Depends on the coaching staff, I suppose. Nelson and Matt Collins. Yeah, Matt Collins did have a good game this weekend. I didn't see much of Aguilar, but I saw Matt Collins continuing to pop up on NFL Red Zone. So that was fun. Aguilar was almost my 13th reason why. That's comment of the night. That is comment of the night. No one talking about how good Aguilar was. Yeah, moving Aguilar back inside was absolutely huge for his development. It was huge for his resurgence, for his mentality. Just, I think, away from the spotlight, there was so much pressure on him outside. Just to be fair, away from the Chip Kelly system, like it was a tough expectation for him to start outside. Moving him in the slot was absolutely huge. TV will be this city's biggest headache if Baker Mayfield. Yeah, Baker's look good. Baker seems to have found a bit of a rhythm. I mean, the offense is firing on all cylinders. They've got, a great stacked unit, really. You've got White at running back, Evans and Godwin are there. Defensively, there's a lot of talent. We know that defensive line's rampant, and it is a defensive line, I think, that will keep Philly honest. And we'll get to that more Wednesday, Friday, especially Friday. We'll get it on Friday's show as our preview. But yeah, we will go through some of your questions and stuff from the weekend. Jackie and Hagar, there's a name I've not seen for a while, but then you are the man with no name, so I very much understand why. I am very well. I hope all is well in your life too, my friend. Thank you for hanging back out. Comments like that, like, you see people that used to watch like the old videos that come and say hello. That means everything, man. It's the coolest thing to know you guys still care. I know I say it a lot. It's never lost on me. 13 likes. All right, you know what the deal is. If we get 35, we give away an Eagles prize. If we get more likes than the Eagles scored points last game. So we need 35. If we can do that, we'll give away a piece of Eagles memorabilia. J-Matt, who's a humble man who had a lot to be humble about. Fair enough. Eagles signed Braden Mann to the practice squad and released Aaron Sipos. Yeah, interesting. Braden Mann's all right, as far as I'm aware. Like, he's an NFL-level punter, put it that way. Like, he's very experienced at this point. Was all right with the Jets, I think. Sipos, I don't know, man. He punted for his life the other day. I don't know. Look, I've not seen enough Braden Mann tape. I'm not going to give you a film analysis on him. I've seen enough of Aaron Sipos to know that, again, he sucked. Like, he went from punting like the game of his life to the game of death, I suppose. Look, I'm not an athletic freak of nature. My athletic limit is golf. I could outpunt Aaron Sipos, I'm pretty sure. Yes, I know what you're going to say. We've got a resume on this show where I can knock out Devontae Smith, I can beat up AJ Brown, I can outpunt Aaron Sipos. Sue me, all right? I'll do the lot. But nah, I don't think Aaron Sipos is good. It's been an experiment that has gone on way, way too long. I don't understand why he shouldn't have made the roster this year. There is no way he won a punting battle and still didn't make the 53-man roster. That's ridiculous in itself. So make of it what you will. But I hope Braden Man can bring some stability. Darius, nice to see you, my friend. I hope all is well with you. It's Jamie's fault Maddox is back on IR with the unnecessary diving tackle. Yeah, I mean, Maddox just does tend to end up in like sort of wrong places, wrong times, or like clipped by players and stuff like that. It's football. Stuff happens. It wasn't as bad as the Sendejo thing, so I'm prepared to let Job go. Just because also he's a lot younger. Like, it happens. It definitely wasn't intentional. Orlando Scandrick's still available. Yeah, less said about that, the better, I think. The less said about that, the better. Although I will say the time he went on national television and got absolutely eaten alive was like the greatest day ever, arguably. Let's have a look. Mr. Sandman, impressive football knowledge by a man from the UK. I couldn't do a cricket podcast for England audiences. It's really weird. Like, I still get a lot of comments where people listen. I never tell anyone that I'm English. Like, if I'm going to bring a writer on PSN, I'll never physically tell them because I just like the surprise element. But, I mean, it was a lot harder when I first started. I'd like to think I've been around the game long enough now for people to, like, even if they disagree, which a lot of the time you do, but, like, you respect where I'm coming from. Like, I really make a conceited effort to give reasoning behind every take. Like, all right, good example. You look at that. I could just show you that. Realistically, I'm not naming anyone, but it's the easy thing to do is to go on Spot Track or a website like that, find free agents, just pick a name and go, yeah, man, the Eagles should sign this guy. But I gave like a logical slide-by-slide breakdown as to why I pinned him. And that for me is way more valuable. Like, if you can have a discussion and reason, like evidence that backs your reasoning to form an opinion, that for me is everything, you know. Like, having an opinion's great, but if you can actually back it up and have someone that even hates you and disagrees, go, yeah, fair enough. Like, that's all I ever want to do. And it's a lot harder when I was 19, and it's like, why would I listen to a 19-year-old British kid tell me about my football team? But now I'm like 28, I've been doing it 9 years, PSN is respected enough, I'd like to think, in the space that, you know, we have newspaper coverage now. Anyone that is able to get Metro Philadelphia newspaper, the sports section is near enough exclusively our coverage. Like, you will see our content in there throughout the week. So make sure you get a copy on your way home from work, have a little read, you get even more PSN. It's great stuff. But yeah, I'm glad. I mean, I can do a cricket podcast if it helps, Mr. Sandman, but I don't do cricket. My limit is baseball. I know a lot of people like cricket. It's not for me. I might have to do that though. Maybe I will. Who knows? A 10-minute breakdown of his leg just like that. He's like, yeah, you can see the angle. He's like, yeah, that's the one. Alex White, where have you been? I used to watch your channel all the time. Then you were MIA. Don't make me sad. Don't make me sad. Look, I'm sure this is going to be quite a frequent thing because there are like 21,000 subscribers on this channel. So, like, long story short, I got burnt out like crazy during COVID because I was doing like, basically my day during COVID from like, 2019-ish, whenever it was, I don't know. But I'd like wake up at 2 p.m. my time. I'd work until 10 p.m. my time. I'd make a video and edit that and upload it, record it, all the rest of it till about 1 a.m. Then I'd live stream on Twitch until about 6 a.m., get home for 8 a.m., and then rinse and repeat. And it just killed me. And like, I stopped doing YouTube videos when we were getting enough income from the website, phillysportsnetwork.com, when there was enough momentum, enough views, enough money to sustain. It was like, I don't have to burn myself out. And the content I was producing, you could see it, man. Like, half the videos I'm there, like, bags are down here. I'm pale as anything. I'm really skinny. Like, I just wasn't in a healthy spot. And the content wasn't great. And then the website really started snowballing. So I didn't have the time to dedicate to a 4-hour film breakdown every week. Like, I couldn't get Eagles tape, break it down, edit it to a point where it looked good. Like, and then so many good content creators came out at the same time where I was like, I can't keep up and do both. The website is doing amazing. Like, we've got a real buzz there now. And like, we're doing like millions of views and it's like ranking really well on Google. And we're one of the top Philadelphia sites now. Like, that was all I ever wanted. I can't put all of my eggs in the same basket. I have to commit to that. fast forward, I've been off the hamster wheel for a while. I then developed a social life, which I never had. I started playing golf. I have a hobby I never had that wasn't work. And then I sold the company last year to an amazing company called called Schnaps Media, owned by Josh Schnaps, who also owns AM New York and a load of other properties. He's been amazing to us. As part of that deal, I'm still here. You're not losing me. You've got me for another while. I can't remember the top of my head. It's a long time. And as time's gone on and things have settled and we've now got more backing and infrastructure and ability to do things, like I do have free time. And I spent the first year of that just having a life, and then found a point where I wanted to get back into YouTube. I wanted to start streaming. I was being pulled back in like bit by bit, day by day. And I went on Phil's breakfast show, training in the AM recently, and it just reignited that fire. Like we did the NFL draft streams and I love them. We do the NBA draft streams. We do watch-alongs and I love them. But I wanted to be back here. And I still don't think I have the time to commit to editing like full-blown videos like I used to. What I can give you is 1 hour of my time, 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 6 p.m., where I can talk about the Eagles, you can talk about life, we can have a vibe and a laugh, and I can do that. And if you guys enjoy that, that's all that matters to me. So that's the long story short. I mean, so I feel sorry for the guys that have been here for the first streams. I've heard this story like 8 times. But yeah, I just hit a point where I had the gap of time to commit an hour. Like I can eat my dinner at 9 p.m. I can prepare at 10, stream at 11, finish at 12, bed at 1, and I'm all right. You know, I still look tired, sure. But yeah, it's just far more sustainable. I can produce content I'm proud of. The website has enough moving parts now where I don't have to. Yeah, basically, I'll stop over explaining, but you know what I mean. But yeah, best thing I ever did, I think, was the acquisition. Like they've been so good to us. To have our stuff in newspapers is amazing. Again, if you're in the Philadelphia area, Metro Philadelphia, the newspaper, that's all our content in the sports section. I can't spoil anything, but we're gonna try and do some stuff like in person over the next like year or so. There'll be a lot more focus on that. And yeah, we'll just keep building out. Like we want to be as big as we can. And yeah, so there you go. I've just rambled for like 10 minutes, so I am sorry. You're back at your opinions and facts. That is true. Yeah, I should take a leaf out of like Dan's silo. I call him Silo because he's just complete shit. And that's what a silo is contained with. So, you know, make what you will. Not a fan of him, but basically the same. We need the Jalen Carter filming, breakfast DT or dinner DT. I know, yeah. I that's the thing. But there are so many good like film breakdown channels out there, and like that's the only thing with video content. It's like live. I can sit for an hour and talk, but if you saw my camera roll on my iPhone, the amount of a 10-minute Eagles video would have like 30 minutes worth of recording where I've had like failed takes, or instead of saying Hassan Reddick, I'd have said Rasson Heddick or something like that. Or I've said he had 58 sacks in a game instead of 58 games in his career. Like, and some of them slipped through. You guys know they slip through the cracks all the time. Like, there was a lot to it. Whereas I think here it's raw. I enjoy the format more of just being able to have that dialogue with you where you guys shape the show. If you're going to ask me like what my favorite breed of dog is, you can, and no one's stopping you. And I just prefer that. I kind of did, man. Like I said, I never grew up. I never just had a life growing up. Like from age 19, all I knew was a part-time job in Philly Sports Network. I quit my part-time job to do PSN full-time. Then COVID hit. There was no life really. So like just having a bit of time, I could have that. And now I feel like I'm just much healthier, like just in general. Like, yeah. So I'm in a good spot. I can commit to this. I want to commit to this, and I feel able to give good content. So it's a win-win-win-win-win-win-win-win-win. Phil's back. That's the announcement we want. Although I did tell him like to not stream during his anniversary. I'm pretty sure. The guy is that committed to trending in the AN, right? He does it when he's in Cancun celebrating his anniversary. You will not find. I thought I was dedicated. Okay, I thought I had a sickness. This man makes me look healthy. It's crazy. I love him. Phil is an incredible man. Moyo saw you on Trending in the AM. Trending in the AM is a great show. I'm just following in Phil's footsteps. I appreciate you watching, Moyo. You're a star for that. Thank you so much for watching. But yeah, Phil, if you're not watching Trending in the AM yet, make sure you do. Yeah, all through the week, breakfast shows. They're not breakfast shows. I've got to stop saying it because he's going to kill me, isn't he? But there are shows on at typically breakfast time around 8:15 in the morning for an hour where Phil will go through everything to do with Philadelphia sports. And he puts it in such a great way. He listens to your comments. It's your show as much as his. He's like the American me if I could grow facial hair. That's Phil. I love him all the time in the world. And I'm so happy he's part of PSN. Genuinely. Like, without Phil, I wouldn't be doing this. It took Phil to ignite that fire. So if I put it this way, and this is as big a compliment to Phil as I can give him, if I'd have gone on Trending in the AM 2 weeks ago and the show was all right, it was an all right show and it was an all right interview, and I just did a run of the mill, yeah, I think the Eagles are good. Yeah, I started PSM when I was 9 years old and I came out the womb bleeding green. Like, if I just did a run of the mill interview, I wouldn't have came back. But Phil made it like such a passionate show, such a well-structured show. The pacing of it, the way he listens, the way he's able to just feed back off what you tell him, like, it's such a professional manner that it made me go, I want that again. Like, that guy is cooking. I want to be in that kitchen with him. So there you go. That's as big a compliment as I could ever give anyone, honestly, in this space, is that I never come away from an interview or an appearance on a pod or something and felt like, wow. Like, yeah. So maybe if you're not listening, I couldn't give it a bigger stamp of approval. Yeah, Ducks, I don't know if taking up golf was like the best thing I've ever done. I'll level with you there. That did stress me out more, but I haven't snapped any clubs yet. So there is that. I miss the Irish dreams too, Mark. I do. They were fun. The amount of times I go back and I look at like the Indy 500 win or like the Brickyard win and just all the chaos. Like Twitch was an era. I think I will get back there. Like, I definitely will get to a point I want to Twitch stream again. I don't know what capacity that will be. I don't know if it will be NFL, if it will be Philly, if it will be gaming, maybe a mix of all of them. I know that's a lot more of a commitment, and I know that's like 4 or 5 hours. So we'll see. We'll see. I don't want to overcommit, but I'm loving this right now for sure. If you start calling the breakfast show, the disappointment will be massive. More disappointed when I was late to see the Prodigy. If you mean the band, I'll be disappointed as well. I love the brand. Jeez, they are, yeah, well, once in a lifetime, aren't they, I suppose? I mean, they shaped a lot of that genre. Bands like Pendulum were, if anyone cares about Pendulum, were heavily influenced by the Prodigy. But yeah, great. I never saw them live, so I'm already jealous of you for that. How'd the golf tourney go? I came third. I came third out of 80 in the end. So it was over 4 rounds, as I said. One in spring, summer, autumn. One winter at the start of the year, like January, spring, summer, and autumn. I was 13 points off the guy in the lead coming into the event. And I got it down to 10 after 3 holes. And then he proceeded to have the round of his life. So for anyone that cares about golf, I play off a 22 handicap. So he shot an 87. So for me to win that day, I'd have had to shoot like a 78 or something stupid. There was just no way I could have ever done that without turning into prime Jordan Spieth for an hour. So I'm happy. I played well. I hold my head high. I didn't buckle under pressure. You know me. I love a grind. I was aggressive. Took it to him and didn't pan out. But we'll get it. I'm determined. I want a trophy. I told myself this year the goal was to get to a 20 handicap to win a competition. I won a competition on the birthday weekend, and my handicap's 22. I feel like I've done all right there. So we'll see how next year goes. Phil is the GOAT. Phil does have real facial hair. Alex is still here. Alex hasn't left yet. So fair shout to Alex, because I ranted at him for like an hour. Poor guy just comes in and says, hey, Liam, I miss you. And I've gone, hey, it's trauma dump for half an hour. I'm glad you met your mental health first. I'm going to give you a cuddle. You're a nice man, Alex. Thank you so much. Like, I'm glad to be back. I really am glad to be back. It's been a wild ride. But even without me, like, PSN's in the best spot it's ever been, like, for sure. I'm still, like I said, I still run it. I'm still here every day. But a lot of what I do is just, it's either managing, it's either editing content, writing content, and letting the guys, the next generation shine, really. The next LJs, the Wonder Kids. Guys like Nate Tennyson, who's our Flyers lead writer. Guys like Jimmy King, Paul Frenzel are union writers who've come on this year and been outstanding. Regina, Matt Watson, like obviously you know Brian, don't need to gas him up anymore. He already knows he's like my favourite little man. Zach Chauvelella couldn't be here without. Like, there are so many guys that deserve that spotlight that I want them to have it, you know? So if I can facilitate things where they can get it, it's great. But if I can do that and also still steal you guys for like an hour so I can be silly and like, you know, say things like about Cravon LeBlanc being my captain, it's a win-win. It's a win-win. We got to get someone out and helping our defense. Our linebackers are so bad, the secondary lacks depth. We will go over my last, my free agent acquisition shortly again. I didn't even have my drink break. That's how much you guys got me rambling. You've had a full 50 minutes. You're building me up. We're doing 4-hour streams in no time. No time. Still got the screenshot of the shoey. And do you give a piss in the Thames about either game? Not particular piss in the Thames about either game. I like the saying. Do you give a piss in the Thames? Not really, but I am playing DraftKings. So, like, I have a vested interest in my lineups, but nothing extortionate. But on that note, that wasn't intentional, I promise. If you do want... I don't have my image. You've got to find it. I didn't make an image. There is a link in the description. If you do want to bet on either game tonight, you don't have a FanDuel account, and you're over the age of 21 years old, if you sign up, you do get $200 in bonus bets with FanDuel when you deposit $5. Click the link, sign up, put a fiver in, or $5, whatever you want to call it. Smack that on like the Pittsburgh game, and you get $200 worth to mess around with. Basically, it's a free shot at $200. So all I'm saying is, if you do turn that into anything substantial, send me a vanilla latte. Send me a pumpkin spice latte. I'm that guy. I'm basic. I've got... Wait there. Look, you think I'm not. You think I'm making it up. Right? I'm shuffling. Right? That's a spiced pumpkin candle. I don't mess around. Smells fun. You can smell it through the screen. Phenomenal. So, I'll have a latte if you win anything big off that $200, please. You're welcome. I will do the Clayton Dawson thing before I leave, for sure. We'll do one. It was hard to take a fight off on the UK foot would say. I only realised you had advanced understanding when you pushed back about the DT having a role that is not simply getting sacks. You should have seen my what is it? The corner when I was on one about Rasul Douglas like years ago, and I swear to God at one point I had like the entire Jim Schwartz playbook like debunked. Like I knew every possible wrinkle of like, how they're rock and rolling safeties. They've left Rasul outside, but he's playing his cover 3 look where he's just shading the receivers. So the receiver's meant to get the safety, but Rodney McLeod's gone over there somewhere, so he's on his own, and it looks like Rasul's bad, but he's not. The lengths I'd go to defend that man. I had to learn an entire defense just to defend him, which was cool, I suppose. To be fair, funny story is that the same with Alex Singleton is that I was a big Alex Singleton guy, and I used to speak like just as a reporter, like just I don't know what the word is, off the record, I suppose. So just with family and friends that knew him. I remember one of them like texted me during the game, like, was that Alex's fault? Like I feel really, really bad. I'm at a bar and everyone's like shouting at him, and I was like, oh no, I hope not. And I went back and watched it, and it was his fault. And I had this like hard job of trying to break down to someone very close to him that he was at fault for this touchdown. And I was just like, oh, I'm sorry. Like it was him. But he's fine. He's fine. He's doing well now. He's doing very well now. Can't complain. Love him. Again, another very nice guy. Single wick candles are mid. Yeah, well, so are you. No, I'm joking. That was mean. I hope you... I'm sorry. That was an emotional reaction. Look, the emptiest cans make the most noise when you kick them. I got kicked. I'm an empty can with a single wick. Okay? I'm very sorry. No, I agree. We need some double ones. All right, but really quickly before we go, I will just name one more time the free agent for this fella, Joker's Oblivion. If you missed it, if you were late, this is the player that I want the Eagles to sign in the coming days. I will have an article on it tomorrow, so if you do want to see a written version, it's coming. Basically here, this young man, well, I say young, Bryce Callahan, purely because, again, 6 years under Vic Fangio, this corner has had now. So he will know most wrinkles of the defense. And while Sean Desai will be different, there's going to be a lot of overlap. It's going to be an easy induction in comparison to some teams he could go to. And he played fairly well last year. Like, it wasn't like he genuinely struggled. He wasn't Kyle Fuller level bad. This guy still had 3 picks, and he helped a Chargers defense that was suffering injury look fairly decent. And you may wonder why this is important. These are the wide receiver 2s, the Z receivers, the Z receivers that the Eagles will be facing throughout the rest of the year for some of the teams. Jalen Waddle, Gabe Davis, Brandon Cooks, just to name 3, Chris Godwin to name a 4th, and a more immediate one. So if the Eagles are so intent on cross-training, if they're so intent on moving James Bradbury to the slot, which is what he did in the summer, you're going to need someone outside that can handle those guys. And I'm not ready to put Keely Ringo in that spot, and I'm not ready to give it to Josh Jobe. I'd much rather take a low-risk, high-reward shot on someone as experienced as Bryce Callahan, who's had 56 starts to his name, and of course has had most of those under Vic Fangio. So there you go. There's that. How did you get Eagles in the UK, like NFL ticket? I couldn't possibly comment on that. I couldn't, see what I can't wink properly. I really can't wink. I like having some sort of like meltdown. I used to pay for NFL Game Pass, and then they got bought out by DAZN, like the boxing company, and they randomly charged everyone like $200, and I was like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. So I started finding alternate methods to find Mr. Gaming Streams. Mr. Gaming Streams is that's what I would call my Switch channel if I had one. That's where Mr. Gaming Streams is where I would go. There you are. That's like you tell your mates, oh yeah, I had to dump her. Exactly. LJ just saying no comment. Yeah, I couldn't possibly have it. But yeah, we've got a few minutes left. I will give you a Clayton Thorson anthem just because Alex asked for it. As much as Duck will wince in his seat and the man chatter will have fingers in his ears, I will grace you with it. Is anyone got any other questions for the final couple of minutes before I bid you adieu until Wednesday? Yeah, Wednesday. But you've got Flipping the Birds tomorrow, Trending in the AM Wednesday morning, and me Wednesday night. What a lineup that is if you're a PSN fan. Yes, that is like your WrestleMania, isn't it? A Tuesday night to a Wednesday evening, 3 shows, 3 very different ways of presenting, or I suppose it's presenting, isn't it? Yeah. But yeah, I'm excited. We should have some more, announcements and shows and stuff coming soon as well. We'll keep adding. We'll keep trying to build out this Arsenal. My intent, genuinely, no shots at all Philly or all City, whatever it is just to take back our ground. I want all the content creators to step up. I know there are so many good YouTubers that are going to have their communities like meddled with, if you will. Guys like Philly 500, Joe Castro is another one, Lord Brunson, who do incredible work and are going to have like a chunk of their fan base leave because it's like, ridiculous mogul has put millions of dollars into a YouTube channel. It's not fair on them. I'd love to see them all step up and like flip the bird, if you will, and take back some ownership of YouTube. So I want to try and facilitate that. I want to rise up. I want to beat them at their own game. I want to prove that, look, I've been doing it longer. We can do it better. We've got a much better community here. Same with PSN, man. Like, I don't know. I'm fired up. That also played a role. I can't lie. I saw that and I was like, nah, I don't like it. I'm fired up. I love the guys. Don't get me wrong. Like, amazing talents. They've all secured, incredible contracts for their families and their futures. But I reckon we can do it better. And I reckon we can have some fun with it. So, yeah, that's just me. Take any excuse I can find to put a chip on my shoulder, I will. And that was a very easy one. So, yeah, more PSN stuff coming. You Josh Allen take yesterday, huh? Yeah, what happened with Josh Allen and the Bills? They did win, didn't they? He was very good. I bet the Bills. Yeah, probably wasn't the best time to say he's like the weakest of the elite. But he's still, to me, the weakest of the elite quarterbacks is still pretty damn good, right? Like, I'm not saying he's Daniel Jones level. I'm just saying of Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, I'll put Hurts up there, Herbert, a few others, maybe. He's the weakest one. Goodbye, the weakest link. And Robinson. Why do you keep trying to lose me as a... All right, I'll meet you in the middle. I'll just do one, and then we'll end the stream. Okay? I'll do one, and then we can go gently into that good night. And there we go. Okay. Da, 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 da. Clayton Dawson. And that's it. That's no more Doug. I'm sorry. I love you. And on that note, guys, we're going to end it there. It's been another hour. Isaac's probably hit the... Yeah, I'd agree with that, probably, to some extent. Definitely has the lowest floor. Nah, I think, yeah, for sure. He's just... If he can iron out the Carson Wentz-esque behaviours, he's going to have a hell of a career. But he's got all the talent in the world to do it, and he's young enough, and has all the talent around him to do it. But guys, thank you so much for tuning in. As always, it's been a pleasure. I can barely talk anymore. I've got a full glass of water there that's just staring at me in a lovely flamingo glass. I'm just going to down that in a minute. But you guys are incredible. Thank you for hanging out and lending me your ears. I hope you are all fully sold on the idea of this man becoming a Philadelphia Eagle. If not, I'll write an article tomorrow and try and convince you even more. But I will see you on Wednesday for another episode of The Outside Insider. Thank you so much. Enjoy your Monday Night Football doubleheader, and I'll see you soon. Don't know where the outro is. Can't. There it is. See you soon.